Ed Balls, AGM is done. How did you feel it went?
It's a tough story for the football club at the moment, for the fans and the shareholders. The season has not started as well as we wanted. We're defending well but not scoring enough goals. It comes after a year in the Championship last season which was very turbulent, losing a manager, changing the whole structure of the football club, a chief executive who came and went, the board paying off actually 14 different people who we moved on, and we've admitted we didn't get everything right in that year. Of course our problems financially go back to relegation from the Premier League, but also that January transfer window, the financial implications of which we're still paying for this season and next season as well. But I think the good thing was that the shareholders and fans thought us being very open about what we're doing and why. There's been massive change at this football club, not just a change in the structure with a sporting director and a head coach alongside the managing director, but I think a real culture change for us to be much more long-termist, to see the academy and its importance for the football club in terms of generating players and also resources. And the best thing for us to do is to be really open with the fans about what we got right, what we got wrong, what we're planning for the future, and I think that went down well tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of acknowledgement of mistakes that have been made in the last year, and how important is that for you to get that message across? Because some of those mistakes cost a lot of money.
Well, of course they did, and the thing which cost us the money was being relegated first of all from the Premier League. Then clearly, if you in football decide to change your manager, that also cost you a great deal of money. We then brought in a chief executive after a big search that didn't work out. That cost us some money as well. But actually we also had a very wide-ranging change in personnel at the academy, more widely at Coney. And I think a lot of those changes in the end we'll look back and say they were done for the right reasons. This is actually about reform at the football club. As Stuart Webber made very clear tonight, when we're in the Premier League, we didn't spend all our money well. Our recruitment wasn't as good as it should have been. We've addressed those issues in terms of the quality of the work which is being done now, and I hope people will look back and say it was tough, it was a hard year, but we've got the club going in the right direction.
Club are 15th at the moment, or 14th in the Championship table. Prospect of having a £7 million overdraft come next summer, and all sorts of things to deal with in terms of the playing budget. How hard is that situation going to be to deal with when there is no other money coming into the football club?
Well, if you'd said to all of us at the end of August that our problem 3 months later would be not our defence, which has turned out to be since August really solid, but our inability to score goals, which last season wasn't our problem at all, it was letting them in. We wouldn't have expected that. Daniel put together with Stuart the squad he wanted in the summer. We believe that's a squad which can get into the playoffs, certainly get us back to the Premier League, but so far it's not worked as well as we wanted. We've had some difficult injuries. What we explained to fans and shareholders tonight is that we are not a club which has any need to raise resources in the January window. So we don't have to sell, but of course if we want to bring new players in, there isn't a budget to do that unless we're generating the resources for that. So we have to see this squad, and then ins and outs within it is being the squad to challenge this season. If we don't go up to the Premier League this season, then we face another big financial challenge next summer, the end of the parachute payments. And so it's tough, and that's something that Stuart and Daniel are very much aware of and on top of.
And you did touch on the fact that you looked at bringing in that structure actually when you initially appointed Jez Moxey, because that was the route you went down, and you kind of conceded that you probably felt that was a mistake. Now, how much faith have you got in Stuart and Daniel, of course, that come next summer and all those changes are going to need to be made? It's going to be a summer of transition again, but you may lose some of the key building blocks you'd want to keep off the back of this season due to the financial cuts that will have to be made.
Well, look, what happened in the summer when we went down from the Premier League, we lost our chief executive. We knew we needed changes in the squad because we had an expensive Premier League squad even after the 30% fall in wages, and we weren't able to move players out in the way we wanted at that time. We talked a lot in the board about whether we should move, which was strongly the view of Delia and Michael then, as well as Steve Stone and myself, to sporting director coach, which I think is much more important for a club like ours, where the transfer recruitment side is such an important part of the football club, and it's really hard for the person either running the club here at Carrow Road or the first team coach also to be doing all of that football financial business, but that just wasn't an option for us that summer. We had a manager who was used to doing things a particular way, and we went through a big recruitment search and we chose another chief executive in the old style mode, and that didn't work. And in retrospect, I wish we'd bitten the bullet last summer, but we did in the spring of this year. And that's what I mean by cultural change. I mean, there really is now a one club approach from the early years of the academy all the way through under 18, under 23 into the first team. There's much more development focus on young players. Look at Todd Cantwell in the squad now. Look at James Maddison playing games when the end of last season, in the second half of last season, when he came back from Scotland, he wasn't even getting in the squad a lot of the time. There's a change, and that's about I think the leadership of Stuart and Daniel. It's about that structure. It's about a different culture in Coney. And I think those will stand us in good stead for the future. But of course, in football, you also need to get on with it because you've got to win some games, and that's what we want.
Are you surprised there wasn't a single question about investment or the ownership tonight?
Well, those are questions that we field all the time. When we talked, Steve and I, to the press a couple of weeks ago when the accounts went out, we did field those questions. I was surprised, but I think that's partly because we'd been so open with the fans and shareholders about the financial position. Nothing's changed. We have owners who believe in this club as a community football club. They've been here for a long time because they love Norwich City and have done some great things for the club. We aren't in any way closed-minded at all about new investment. If somebody came along who believed in this club and its values and wanted to invest in this football club, we would engage with them without any hesitation, or they would want to know that it was going to work for the long-term benefits of Norwich City Football Club. So while we've been so focused in the last 6 months on getting the culture right and these personal changes, we've not been out there looking. I think in the past when Alan Backett went out looking in 2011, he didn't find any people who wanted to invest. But we haven't been looking, but we are absolutely open to new investment. If people want to come forward, if there's people who believe in this football club and want to invest in Norwich City, our door's open.
Ed Balls, thank you very much. Thank you.